Hello, everybody. GL1 here, and I have a bit of a STEM class that I want to do today. And what I have over here that I got through Temu is a continuously variable transmission kit. And this is the picture of the kit. And if you order this, it's only $5. It comes with no instructions. So you will have to become familiar with this picture here and figure out which shaft goes where, which pinion gear, where all the pieces go from just looking at that picture. So, good luck to you. Now, I did figure it out, but it doesn't work well. So I redesigned it, and this is my redesign, and I'm going to explain to you how this works because this kind of transmission, continuously variable transmission, CVT, I have a motorcycle with this transmission, and there are cars with this transmission. I believe Hondas often have this transmission. So instead of a wheel, it uses, it does use a sphere, and it uses belts. And I'll explain to you how this works. But this is the kit example of how this goes together. Now, the problem with the Temu version is this piece here is supposed to lift up and down, and that is supposed to vary the speed of the wheel. It doesn't move well at all, so it really doesn't work. So I redesigned it, and I'll explain to you what's happening here. So this is the drive shaft. So let's say you have a toy motor here, and that is turning this, and then you have your gears here. You have your 90-degree gear, and then that is turning this semi-sphere. See that? And that sphere is rubbing up against this rubber tire. Now, let's pretend that this is not a rubber tire here in this case. This is the inner workings of a transmission. This is the transmission wheel. Okay, but for the kit, it was a tire. So when you turn this semicircle here, sphere, is touching up against this and turning it, and then that turns your axle, which attaches to your wheel that is on the street, right? So if you were looking at the side of the car, you'd have a wheel here and a wheel on the other side, and you would have your engine up over here, and it's turning this drive shaft, and that's turning this sphere. And then if you want to change gears, so right now, the largest part of the sphere is touching our transmission wheel. If you want to change gears, you would have like a motor that would move this up, and you see that would change the angle of the sphere to the drive wheel. And then if you turn it all the way up, it's even less drive wheel touching it. So what's happening there? Well, I have an orange here as an example. So here's our orange, and the center of this orange I measured is 12 inches all the way around. And this is 10, and this is 6. So imagine that this little red sphere is our orange, and the orange is turning on the transmission wheel. Well, if I spin this orange around one time, and the transmission wheel is touching here, one spin is 12 inches. But if I tilt this orange to here, and this is where the orange is touching the wheel, and I spin it one time, now the wheel only spins 10 inches. And if I tilt it up even further and spin it all the way around one time, only 6 inches is in contact with the transmission wheel. So what's happening? Well, if this spins only 6 inches, this wheel, outer wheel, is only going to move in proportion to the 6 inches. If I tilt it back, it's moving in proportion to 10, and back more, it's moving in proportion to 12. So what's happening is, if it's the 12 is going to make its larger wheel that is rotating the transmission wheel, which is going to turn our drive wheel faster. Okay, so right now this is, let's say, the 12-inch orange, and that is turning our drive wheel the fastest. All right, and then if we tilt it, what's happening here, now it's going to go a little slower, and then it goes even slower all the way up. Okay, so let's say that's the 6-inch wheel. But we have more torque because if this gets to one rotation of this, you can spin it more times. You could spin it twice as many times to get 1 foot. Okay, it's a little bit difficult to understand through this example, however, so that's why I have this here. But this is more torque, this is more speed. So let me explain that with these diagrams here. All right, so going to start with a bicycle gear system. All right, so on a bicycle, that has different gears. Let's say you have your drive wheel, the wheel that you're pedaling. Okay, so you're pedaling this, and let's say that's 4 inches around. It's not, but let's say it's 4 inches. Okay, so this is spinning at 4 inches. Both of these are the same. If you have a wheel in the back, the one that's attached to your tire, right? You have the gear, and then you have the tire that's around that, right? Let's say this gear is 8 inches. So you have a 4-inch driving an 8-inch. Okay, so you'd have to spin this twice to make this go around once. So this is only going to move half as fast as that. If this were a 4 and this were a 4, it would be equal. It would move the same. You turn this around once, it would move this around once. Because it's bigger, you have to move this around twice to get this to go around once. All right, so that's slower, but you have more torque. So when you're trying to pedal up a hill, what do? When you switch those gears, if you ever look in the back, you switch it to the largest gear that is on that wheel hub to go up a hill. Now, if you want more speed, all right, you have a 4-inch gear here, and it's spinning, let's say, a 2-inch gear. Okay? Well, you spin this around once, this is going around twice as fast, right? So you're going to get more speed. And if you look at your bicycle, you'll note that when you put it on the smaller gear on that wheel hub, that is faster, but it's harder to pedal, right? It's much harder to pedal on the lowest gear. So what often you'll do is you start pedaling with the big gear, right? It's real easy. And then as you start building up speed, you go to first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, right? All the way down to maybe 7th. And then that's when you're going the fastest, right? And I'm not even going to get into the derailleur and the front gears, right? But some of you out there will understand that it's to get even more speed. So this gives you more torque for going up a hill, makes it easier. This is easier to go faster, but it's a lot more torque to pedal to start off. You can think of it in terms of like a lever system, like maybe a wrench or something. So imagine you have a handle here, and that handle is attached to, let's say, some kind of cap, and you're trying to turn it. Well, let's say your cap is really large and your handle is short. I think you might know instinctively you don't have a lot of leverage. You're trying to turn this big, cap right here, and the shaft of your handle is only that long. So turning that, you'd have to turn it. You'd have to put a lot more energy. Let's say these are both just as tight. It's going to be a lot harder to turn this than this because you have a longer length here, and this is smaller. So you're going to have greater leverage. You're going to be able to put more torque on this in order to turn that. And that's similar to our gears, and that's similar to what we have here. So you have more torque. Again, when you move it all the way up like that, you have to spin it more times, but this is a smaller wheel turning this wheel, and that's going to give you more torque, but then this is going to move slower. And then if you go like this, yes, it moves faster, but you have less torque. Okay, I hope that makes it a little bit more clear. But I can tell you this, if you get this kit on Temu, it's pretty neat. But if you want to take a look at my modifications, the only pieces that I used, here's the other pieces that came with it that I'm not using. I tried to use everything that came with it. So this wheel did not come with it. And I think that is it. Everything else, yeah, I was able to use everything in the kit. I just put a wheel and tire on it, okay? And it's much easier to move and spin and demonstrate. So if you want to see how I did that, so you can get one because it's only $5. You might as well get one. It's a great educational, tool. And but it's not going to really. You could build a toy car with it. It probably is going to be pretty a little bit weak. But you might be able to have something where you can lock this in place and then you can experiment. You can even put an electric motor on this, and then you'll be able to see, the speed difference on where you move this. That you'd have to turn it. This would be slower, and this is going to be faster. Okay, so the torque elements are not really going to come into play here because it's really everything's so light and easy to use. But certainly with a car or motorcycle, it definitely makes a difference. All right, well, thanks for watching, and hope you learned something. Take care.